Hi everyone, it's Dana again, and this time I'm with my daughter, Adrian. Say hi.
I'm not here.
She says she's not here. She's a little shy. She's real excited though. She's real excited to be doing this project with me. And so what we're going to be doing today, we're going to share with you, is we're going to be making pendulums. This is one I completed today. This is a rose quartz. It has a rose quartz pendulum or tip on it. And then it has hearts that are rose quartz. You can see those. And then the little beads here are regular quartz. And then we have silver beads in there as well. And it goes right over your finger. So we're going to show you how to make one of these handy dandy pendulums yourself. They're really awesome to use. They're really easy because you put them right over your finger. This one's already going 100 miles an hour on my hand. And later we'll show you what you can do with these. I mean, you don't just necessarily do what I'm doing. I mean, that's fun and all, but there's a lot of cool things you can do with the pendulum. But for now, we are going, yeah, I made it move fast. For now, we're going to show you how I made that pendulum. I've made them before and actually recently had a request to make one. And so I'm going to show you, or you're going to get to see me as I make it. And Adrian wants to make her own pendulum too, so she's going to make one as well. So you get to see two finished products. So if you want to make a pendulum for yourself, kind of like the one I just did with the finger loop and everything, then you're going to need some supplies. And so we're going to share those supplies with you now. First, you're going to need a crimp, a beginner crimp set. This is one, I got this one because I might want to make my beads, or use my beads for a necklace later, and I like the idea of having those necklace loops along with the crimps. The crimps are on the bottom. And a crimp is just this little tube made of metal that you put on the wires to close the wires off. And so Adrian did one already, you can see it. When you put the pendulum on, you'll be putting a little crimp right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's really hard to see, but it's tiny. And you use it to make sure that the pendulum doesn't move. And it also keeps you from poking yourself with the wires. The other thing that you're going to need is some wire. Ideally, you want to use silver plated wire or you want to use copper wire. I usually don't use the copper, but I did buy some because it's really cheap. And if you like cheap stuff, you don't want to have to spend a bunch on your pendulum, then you can buy the copper wire 26 gauge. You don't want to get the really thick stuff. You want something that's going to be pretty flexible, because this is a pendulum. You don't want it to become like, you know, a choker. The other thing is, the other kind of wire is the silver plated. This one is the kind that I prefer. And this one I got in a roll of 15 yards. So this one was 30 yards for like $3.99, and this one was 15 yards for like $6.99. So you see the difference. But it goes a long way. So you can choose. And then you're going to need a crimper tool. This crimper tool originally was like $14.99, but I got it on sale for like $8.95. And no, it wasn't $4. I wish. And you can see, if you look really close, it has these little rough edges, and that's where you put the crimp, and you just barely hold it down to crimp the little wire in place. You're going to need a pair of needle nose pliers. I highly suggest you get a smaller pair. These came from my husband's work shop, and they're massive. And I thought they were little. The only reason that you really need them, though, is to cut the wire. So if you have wire cutters that are really small, those work. If you do any more work with the beads, or like say you want to make a necklace or something, you'll need more the needle nose pliers in the future. But really, you just need something that you can cut the wire with. I highly suggest that when you're making your pendulum, that you put down a towel or something that will absorb anything that falls, because beads bounce. And I found out the hard way when I lost. Yeah, it works really well. If you drop a bead on a towel, it's not going to roll away. It's going to stay. I found out the hard way whenever I was getting my beads, and they fell on the table and they went everywhere. So put down a towel for your workspace, and then You probably will need a measuring, like some kind of measuring tool, like a ruler like this, or a measuring tape. And you'll need a pair of scissors, because most of the beads come like this, like in packages where they're in strings, they're strung like this. And when you take them out, you can see they're tied. And so the wire cutters are really not, I mean, they'll work, but they're kind of large, the ones I have. The scissors are just easier. I highly recommend you unstring all your beads ahead of time and put them in a container. So I have a container as well. And maybe a magnifying glass. I had trouble when I was threading these little tiny beads, finding the hole. And this was not a problem for me 10 years ago when I first started making pendulums, but now I seem to have gone blind. So she'll have to help me with that, because I don't have a magnifying glass. But if you have one, you might want to have one handy. So those are the materials for like making, for like jewelry making. They're typical jewelry making supplies. When you go to look for your pendant and the beads that you're going to use, have in mind for the pendant a crystal that you're either attracted to or like drawn to, or a crystal that will go or will work with the chakra, the main chakra that you're wanting to work on. My favorite is rose quartz, because quartz, first of all, yeah, that's my favorite. That's why I made one.
Kind of pinkish.
It is pink, and the rose quartz for me is like, it's just my favorite. It works on my heart chakra, but it also, they will clear every chakra. You don't have to worry about, like, I'm not going to just use it for my heart chakra. You can use it for all of them. But it's really important that you choose a pendant that is a crystal that you're drawn to, or a gemstone that you're drawn to. And then when you're selecting the beads that go on the string, on the beaded part of the pendulum, this part here, you need to pick stones that are complementary to the pendant. So for example, Adrienne did a really good job. When she went and picked out her stones, she had no idea what she was picking out. She just liked the colors, but she actually picked out very complementary beads. She got turquoise, as you can see. And turquoise is great for the throat chakra and communication. And then she picked out two stones that one of them I'd never heard of. One's called howlite, which is this blue one. Howlite is a very calming stone, and it helps to expand your self-expression. Yeah, she got it because it was of the color. She was trying to match. And the other one is sodalite, which I have heard of, which is all about communication. This tiny little purple stone here. It is pretty. So all of those go very well with her turquoise. So she did an excellent job of selecting her beads. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We have already cut our wire. That's the first step. So you need to cut about 12, 13 inches. When you're done with your pendulum, the length of it from the top of the pendant to the loop is about 8 inches. So you'll need a couple of inches at least for the loop. And the loop will need to fit around your finger. This one's a little big, but it needs to fit comfortably around your middle finger. So you decide, you ultimately choose how long or how short your pendulum is. But I find that 8 inches is a good, is a good length.
That's short.
That short won't work. It has to be long enough to where the pendulum can swing. So once you have your wire cut, you're going to find your pendant, and this is the one I'm going to be using. This is red jasper. I tried to find carnelian and I failed. It's very hard to find carnelian. So I got the next best thing, which is jasper, red jasper. And you're going to take the end of the wire and you're just going to fit it around that loop. If I can get it. The loops do not like me lately either. And then you'll just fold a section of the wire. Doesn't matter how much, you want to make it as short as you can, but if you make it too long, you can clip some of it off. But just remember, you still need to have some wire left over to make the loop. And get it snug around that. And now is the tricky part. If you've never used crimping beads before, they are really tiny and they like to bounce. Don't. So you want to use a small size. The bigger size that I have here, it didn't work. I've tried it already once. But the smaller size are really ideal for these pendulums because you just need a piece that's big enough. Okay, I'm making sure they're not jumping everywhere. Piece that's big enough to hold the wire in place. So what you do is you're going to string it through the top, and this is where I'm blind. Can you see? There it is. No, don't get your finger. Then I can't see for sure.
Yeah, you failed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I failed. There it goes. I did it. All right, so it goes down real fast, and it immediately went over the wire. I didn't even have to do anything. So now, once I have that little crimp in place, you push it down as far as you can, and there'll be a little bit of a loop. You can see that there's a little loop at the top. I don't know, maybe you can't. It's really, yeah, a little bit. You can see it right there. You're going to take your crimping tool, and you're just going to very gently. Yeah, gently, or you'll cut it off like I did with the first time. Crimp it in place. So it'll be flat. It'll look, you know, like a little rectangular. It turns into a little rectangular piece, and then you can see that little, it looks kind of like a bead on top of the clasp there, or what do you call that? Anyway, so now Adrienne already did it because hers was kind of tricky.
It's tiny.
And you can see, hers is really little. You can see the you know, kind of see. It's hard to see on that. So what you're going to do now, you're pretty much done with the crimper tool. I can show you another place where you can use, I'm going to move the needle nose pliers and everything out of the way because you really don't need anything else right now. We've already got our beads in our little containers. So clear up the space. So what you really should do before you just start putting beads on is you really should take the beads that you're going to use and put them in the order that you would like to see to kind of come up with a kind of a pattern. So like on this one, I did the silver with 3 quartz and then another silver one and a quartz and a heart. And I did that until I ran out of hearts, and then I just finished it all the way through. Hearts? Hearts. Yeah, one of the hearts fell on the floor and I lost it. That's what happened. And then I found it later. But 3's fine. 3's a good number.
You were sitting on it.
I'm sitting. So now I'm using citrine that originally came in these strands, and I think I'm scared I'm gonna lose them. No, I'm not. So they came like this. I kept half of it, and then you just cut it and you dump them out in here. I'm not using these, so I'm just showing you how they came. So these are not, ideally I would say to not use really jagged beads, but these are okay. I've used them before. And don't use really large beads. Like I have this really large one from the hearts, and then I have this is the other little heart that I found on the floor after I was done making the pendulum. Yeah, so you want to stay with beads that are small. You don't want to get the really big ones because then you have a really bulky pendulum. So, okay, you're going to figure out an order, and once you do that, you string your pendulum. So let's do that. Not a whole lot of talking. Let's start. Pick, what order are you going to go in? Are you going to do purple? Do you want any of my silver ones?
No.
You sure? Or do you want in, usually it's a good idea to have 3 different stones, but you don't have to. So I'm going to start with the silver because I like the silver stone. And it's okay to use silver. Silver's a very good conductor. I have one pendulum that is made with cork, and I found that actually messed up the energy of the pendulum and made it more sluggish. So if you're going to use a metal bead, make sure that you're using one that's made of copper or made of silver so that it's a good conductor.